My name is Derek Yang. I'm a lecturer at Stanford University. I will be teaching architecture and the city in the Summer Institute. And at Stanford, I teach in a graduate curriculum called Sustainable Urban Systems, which is a project-based learning experience for graduate students working with local cities, counties, nonprofit organizations on urban scale issues like housing and transportation and climate change.
My name's Vicky Gugassian, and I'm teaching expository writing, and the theme is writing for the future of the planet. So the idea is that we believe that writing has the possibility to help save the world by communicating important and urgent environmental issues well and convincing people to make changes. We actually had a really great opportunity to work with this local environmental education and advocacy group that does habitat restoration work in the Bay Area. So the students went to a section of San Francisco Creek, and so they learned about the process by which coastal willows reproduce, which is actually really cool. You can cut off a limb and plant it in the ground, and it will grow roots and branches and become a new tree. So they learned about that process a little bit and about the threats to the coastal willows, and then they actually did some willow staking to help prevent soil erosion in the creek. And I think the students really enjoyed getting out and getting dirty a little bit. And then that was also the basis for their first writing assignment. So they wrote about their experience in the creek, and they used that to make a broader point about how we can protect places like San Francisco and the habitats and ecosystems that they support.
What was really exciting about Stanford community was that they have they encourage interdisciplinary studies. So that's where my PhD training was, and my research focused on engineering biomaterials that can really mimic our body. And now I started postdoctoral training at Stanford Cardiovascular Institute. And now my research focuses on using human healthy individual and patient-derived stem cells to study cardiac development. Ultimately, what we are going to do is to have students to encapsulate the differentiated heart muscle cells to create a 3D construct and have them print it into a specific shape that they want to create. So students get to explore real lab space and how the 3D bioprinting is being done in a real research setting.
I go into this classroom and I talk about nanobiomaterials. One of the things that I try to do is when we go through grad school and do research work and stuff, we have to pick up the scientific method sort of on the side. There is no specific class telling us, oh, this is how science works, this is science, these are the different methods and such. So that way I provide them with the method. The reward is that you give them this toolkit sort of, which helps them not only explore nanobiomaterials as a course, but they can use this to explore any other field.
I think, disciplines are kind of a useful fiction, right? But that's not really how knowledge works or how knowledge gets produced. And even, in my work, what I've learned is that it's ridiculous to think that people who are writing novels are only thinking about writing novels. They frequently are reading other things, they're absorbing other kinds of information, and they're using that to help shape the kinds of novels that they write. And then, people who are producing scientific knowledge are also exposed to all kinds of different cultural objects that shape their assumptions and hypotheses as well. So even between the sciences and the humanities, it's important to see that these two things are cross-pollinating one another and not to try to think about them in isolation.
A major part of my course is, in a sense, designing the course I wish I had in high school and giving students from across the world an opportunity to see how much of an impact they can have with the kinds of technical and creative skills they're beginning to build as high school students.